Hey everyone, Lauren here. We've got some DIY embellies that I'm making today. So check out my first design team video here on the Kitaholics channel, and I have shown you how I printed the exclusive printables that we get for being a subscriber each month. So these ones are for February. Check out how I printed them because I printed them in multiple different ways to show you some ideas, but also so that I could use them in multiple ways. So I'm only using the printables and then some enamel dots, I believe. Otherwise, nothing else from my stash. I'm just showing you what could work. So I just quickly was showing you how I've just quickly cut out the printables, some of the big labels, and then some of the bigger shapes and some of the project pocket page cards that I've used with a hole punch, like a circle punch in a few different sizes. And I'm going to get stuck into making the embellishments. So I've laid up, the blue one is just a big circle punch, and then in between I've punched out one with a scalloped edge just to add that little bit of interest. Cut out one of those cupcakes and then a couple of tiny words, and that's going to be it. So I think embellishments you can definitely, and I have at times gotten crazy and added lots of layers and lots of goodness and everything going on, but sometimes the most simplest are the most effective. And one of the other things to do is to either to think about, okay, this is the kit that I'm using or the collection, and there's a bit of a theme going on, or I'm going to use it for this event to scrapbook, or I'm just going to make them as generic ones, but just having to think about what you're going to use them for. So today I'm making them to be generic, so I'm using all those things about love and happy day and this week and this moment and things like that, so that I can use them on a whole range of different layouts or project life spreads. And check out my next my next video is a project life video, which uses a handful of these. So definitely check that out if you want to see how they are used in a project. But you could also just use them on a layout and things like that. I also, as being part of the subscriber of Kitaholic Kits, you get to join our Facebook page, which is as an exclusive subscriber page. But also, if you aren't and you're just thinking about whether you want to buy them, while you're thinking about it, jump over to our community group page. And just recently we had a crop, and there's lots of us do lives and things like that you can, and challenges and all goodness that gets you created and motivated and shows you how to use the kits and how to get things scrapbooked in different ways. So if you have any questions, just ask on the video here, or head over to the page and we can get going. So I really like these circle embellishments that Deb has made from the printables, and then I've cut that heart I outlined, I've cut it out and outlined. And then I've added this puffy heart, and I'm going to add a wood veneer heart and add the 3 in a row, just to be that definition of interest in the middle of something going on, giving you a bit of texture. And that would be simple and easy to add to your creative project. So I love this little banner and wanted to use it. So you can see here I go back and forth with a few things that I've cut out. I've got this blue scalloped circle, and I just sticky tape, I was going to say. Nope. Staple it, and I'm just going to add a border just with a little Sharpie. Just that's it. Nothing else. So definitely think about the tiny words. Tiny words are really fun to add on to things. You could simply just add a tiny word in enamel dot, and you'd be laughing on top of an icon or a punch shape and things like that, and they would be very fun and useful. Otherwise, you can add a few things, bits and pieces. So I've cut out one of those circle embellishments with words on it, and then one of those little ice blocks. Very summery, nice pink and a red kind of tones, which go together nicely. And that's going to go layered on this little circle label, which at first I had a rectangle label. And looking back when I was editing the video, I wondered why I changed my mind, because it worked well, but maybe for some reason at that time I did change my mind, and I like the circle just as much. It's just funny sometimes in the moment you're like, yep, nope, okay, move along, something else. So I've got little tiny hearts and stars that I've used my Fisker punches to punch out, some of them from gold glitter, red glitter, green glitter, and gold foil, and silver glitter for my Christmas scrapbooking, and I've got a little dish of it on my desk that I reach for. So again, with the circle labels, this means you can either use it as a layering piece, or you have space to tuck it in, or to add journaling when you add it to your layout or your project life. So have a think about that, leaving the space. So this one here, I'm just going to put this love heart on the top here, and that provides a journaling spot. Just simple. So another simple thing is to layer up some of these flowers and leaves. I am adding a label here, so again, it could be either a journaling spot, but I'm going to add some of the pieces of text that we've got in the printables. But you could also just have a simple flower cluster going on with a tiny word happening just to finish it off. You don't need to have a label underneath it if that's not your jam, or what you have available, or it's just not what flows when you're creating. I did decide this had too much white on the leaf, so I am cutting it a bit closer in on it so that it is a bit more defined, rather than the white was just drawing my eye to it too much and making it not blend in and be part of it as much as when I cut it. It worked a lot better. That orange flower was not working, it was too big, so I then decided to just quickly fussy cut, and you can see obviously I've sped it up, but not very much. You can see how quickly it is to cut out these printables. When I am using the printables, I either keep them in a full sheet, or if I've organized my kit in such as my really useful box, I will roughly cut them and then put words with words, icons with icons, labels with labels, etc. And that way when I go to use them, I could just quickly cut them, and it's not so overwhelming to cut multiple pages. I know for some ladies and gentlemen, they like to cut them while they're watching TV one night, while they're, especially while they're waiting for their kit to arrive. It's a fun project to do, but for me, that would not be of interest. So using the flowers again, so you can see here I've just put a flower and a leaf, and I've got a tiny word, and you could simply leave it like that. Today I'm not going to. I do add a fishtail banner to that word. I think I add something else. Or do I leave it like that? So you could leave it just like that, and you could make multiple of them. You could have multiple of these florals with tiny words on them, a couple of enamel dots, and then call it a day. Oh, I do leave it like that. My bad. I thought that I didn't leave anything like that, but that when I was editing, I'm thinking, okay, I need to tell the people my idea. So this one, I've got the floral cluster here, and I'm putting it on a tag that I've just cut out from the pocket page pattern paper. And then so when I printed them on A3 paper, it definitely made those project life pocket page cards bigger, so that you could make different sizes. You could layer behind full size photos and things like that. So it's definitely worthwhile to have a think about printing in different ways, rather than obviously if it's your first try, definitely just maybe, unless you've got a brilliant idea, it might be overwhelming otherwise, but maybe for your first time, just print them as printables at the size that Deb makes them and have a play. And then as you get more into them, you might experiment, or you might just be so clever that you can just experiment from the get-go. You might be so tech savvy. I had to build up to it and, get some inspiration and work out what I was doing. And now I, I'm a bit more adventurous and use all different types of things, as you can see in my first design team video for February. So I got this cool little circle here. This one's printed on the acetate paper. And then it's a little guy with some, well, not a little guy, it's just a circle embellishment with sunglasses, which is quite cute. And I thought I just had to use it. It looked really like it's going to be able to build a cluster and be something that could be put into a layout. So I'm thinking about some of these words. I've got love this photo in the bigger text, in the coloured text, And then I've got a couple of these tiny words that I'm going to cut out. I'm going to cut out 2 phrases. Does that one say happiness? Or no, it says captured, doesn't it? Sorry, my screen is just a little bit too small for reading it. And then I love you, I believe. You're probably all laughing at me because I've not read them properly at all. Anyway, that's fine. So I'm going to commit to it. I just changed it at the last second and have made it more of a build-in on the cluster together on the right there. Just sat nicely. That gives that room to tuck in on the corner there on the left, or to add some journaling. And then I'm going to add this arrow. So there's a nice little pink arrow just from the set of printables. I do think about it, obviously, and then decide to think about it, that little circle with the heart on it as well, and decide against it. So again, with a little circle that's punched out of the pocket page cards, you can see lots of that texture that Deb's made in the background. Looks really cool. And I'm going to add this little banner here and work out what is going to go with it. So this little circle of the car is going to be really cool to add on to some of these road trips that I've been taking lately with my children. And that will be a nice little cluster to add, or anytime you're traveling or anything like that. So it could just be as simple as that. 2 little embellies and then some doodled border, and then a dash one to make it look... most people say it looks like fake stitching, but I just like it because it adds that pop of difference. You could definitely border 2 the same with a straight line or both dash, but I like that doing 1 dotted line and 1 full line as a border for 2 different things together make them stick out differently and be individual. So again, with this labels are just a lot of fun to use in not only as labels but for the DIY embellishments. But of course, now that I've said that, I've changed my mind and have pulled out a punch shape. So this is just a Project Life page again that I've cut with my circle punch, and you could use your Cameo or a die cutting machine if you don't have a circle punch the right size. And I'm just going to put on that banner that says favorite, and then one of these enamel hearts and some enamel dots. This one, I like this one. This was fun. So I've got the orange circle and then a smaller circle, which is the blue one. And I'm just ruffling up the edges, and then I fully scrunch it so that it gets that really, really distressed look. And I'm just going to leave the blue one on top intact. And then I'm going to again bring in some more of that orange by adding this word phrase on the top. So on that goes, and look at that. So cute. Adding some wood veneer. Enamel dots were going to take away from it because it would have stuck out a bit too much with only 2 colours going on. The wood veneer makes it a bit more neutral and gives you that pop of interest rather than detracting from what's going on. So you can see here I've got a few different shapes left. I've got this acetate orange tag that I've printed one of those pages of pocket pages on the acetate paper, and then cut this one into a tag. So I'm going to add these couple of tiny words on here, and one of them I cut in half to make smaller. So I'm just going to stick them down with some double-sided tape, and I'm having to think about what else could work as some embellishments to the right there, and I work on using some of these wood veneer stars that are just in a little dish above my scrapbooking area so I've got a container of enamel dots, and then I got 2 dishes of wood veneer. So one's got like stars and hearts, a bit bigger and whatnot, and then I've got a tiny little dish that's got these tiny little stars, sort of like asterisks and then triangles. I think they've got some other little small shape, but anyway, I don't know why I'm going into detail about that. I don't know if that's of interest to you, but you can see how cool that is. That'll be really fun on a white background because you'll be able to see through the acetate and see that it is a different piece, a different texture than what the cardstock is. So I brought back this label because I'm trying to work out what is going to work on it. Just having a look through my pieces of paper that's been already used and work out what I want to use it for. So I'm going to make a tag with this one. I love the background on this pocket page card. So I'm going to put the label there. I like how it's overhanging, and I just put this little heart and word there, but then you see quickly maybe that I put my hand over it to see what it would look like if I cut the label down. I liked it, and thank goodness it worked really nicely. I do like that it's got that edge rather than it overlapping, but you can definitely have a play with things being bigger than the tag or bigger than the original piece for the embellishment. So having a little play, I've got these couple of acetate circles, got a couple of labels that are cut out, and trying to work out what I can continue making. Really, I'm just going with the flow of what's in front of me and what comes together. So I got this little piece, it's a camera that's been printed on. It's like vellum, but I use tracing paper because it's cheaper here. So I still call it vellum. And then I've got this piece that says Embrace the Chaos as well. So the blue and the green really nicely go together, and I'm trying to work out how they're going to get together because they're obviously big-ish pieces, and they are odd shapes. So trying to work out what I want to do, seeing if other things will work, and then I go, okay, I'll just work on the camera. Let's see what I can make happen with the camera. So because I'm zoomed in, you can't see the things that I'm grabbing, but I've got this little strip here from a pocket page that I cut and make it like a washi strip. I rip down the edge so that it looks like washi that has just randomly been placed there, and then I can see that the Embrace the Chaos then works much better. It sort of grounds it and what's going on. Having to think about what's working for me because I didn't really like it, even though when I'm just watching it and doing this voiceover, I was liking what was happening. So I've got the favourite moment here that I've cut out, and I'm going to add that there with that camera, and that just works really well to fill in that space of the label and be something that will be usable in multiple different ways. I am going to bring in that washi strip just because it fills in that white space down the bottom, and I layer it under the word moment and under the camera. And here's where I realized the camera, it should have been backed, and so I think I'd use most of the cardstock camera pieces, so I instead, although this gives a different texture because it's vellum then on top of cardstock, so it's like when you have a clear sticker and you don't want it to be see-through, you put it on a piece of cardstock and cut it out. So you can see there, it just makes it pop a lot easier. And then I'm going to put this enamel heart. No, I'm not. I try my little heart out to put it on, but instead I go again with these little hearts and stars that have been punched out. So I'm going to glue them on again in 3, 2 up the top and 1 down the bottom, and that just brings your eye across where the camera is and makes it really fun little embelly. So I think this is the last one I'm going to make, and then I'm going to show you a close-up of them all as a collection, and that way hopefully you feel inspired to be able to create some embellies because they are so fun and they are very addicting. So I find that I feel like making DIY embellies so often that I have to tell myself, no, create a layout or create some project life, because I just cannot have that many DIY embellies. I'm just one person, I can't use that many. Maybe I need to start gifting them around, although I do gift them at Christmas time in our advent calendars. But yeah, they are quite addicting and something I really love to do. So just be warned, if you get hooked, you might be hooked. So here's all the DIY embellies that I made this time. Hopefully you feel like you can get creative, whether it's DIY embellies or a layout, and use the kit, and especially use the printables that we get as exclusives. Anyway guys, have a great one. I'll talk to you next video. Bye.